For me, the joy of theatre is the human scale. If he likes big screens so much, it's time he went to Hollywood. All About Eve, starring Gillian Anderson and Lily James, directed by Ivo Van Hove at the Noel Coward Theatre, London. Before I begin my review, I'd like to say something about intervals, or the lack of them. I find these days, more often than not, I go to a play and it doesn't have an interval. I'm all in favour of that, and I understand that it's sometimes good not to have your concentration interrupted. So, I don't think an hour and a half, an hour and 3/4 even, is that long to sit, even in theatre seating, which is sometimes uncomfortable and cramped. But just over 2 hours, which is the length of All About Eve, and remember, most of us are in our seats 10 minutes before the curtain is up, is too long. You're rarely told when you book that the show you're going to see doesn't have an interval. But what's the problem? Well, for a start, the rows are long at the Noel Coward Theatre, and the legroom isn't fantastic if you're on the tall side. I didn't have a problem sitting there for 2 hours, but the trouble was a lot of other people did, and a lot of them men, by the way, who really disrupted the performance by needing to go to the loo, or maybe just stretch their legs. Now, maybe they shouldn't have had that long drink beforehand. Maybe they should have used the loo before they sat down. Maybe they had a problem with their bladder, and a lot of older people do, and let's face it, there are a lot of older people in theatre audiences. Now, I know films don't have intervals, but in my experience, cinemas, on the whole, have been built much more recently than our 100-year-old West End theatres. The rake and the legroom are much better, so people going in and out don't cause the same issues. I just want to say, I think it's inconsiderate and even a bit arrogant to insist that your audience sit through 2 hours without a break. Anyway, what did I think of the show? You may well know the story. The film All About Eve is a classic. It tells of a young would-be actor who ingratiates herself into the inner circle of an ageing stage star in order to further her career. And if you're not familiar with the story, then be ready for many surprises and twists. First thing to say is that the two leads are mesmerising. Gillian Anderson as Margot conveys the insecurity that brings out monstrously diva behaviour. Lily James as Eve turns on a penny from disingenuous devotion to cold-eyed viciousness. Add to that a performance of great subtlety by Monica Dolan as Margot's kindly but naive friend Karen. The production cleverly puts Margot's dressing table and her character dead centre, because although the title is All About Eve, the play is much more about Margot, her coming to terms with getting older, her considering her position as a woman in society, and her fears of losing her younger partner. So Margot herself, the great star, is the centre of attention and the centre of the stage. Nearly everything that happens that doesn't involve her takes place off or to the side of the stage. In this respect, the set by Jan Versweyveld does a great job. Beyond the main set, we can see backstage and wings. And above there are giant video screens that convey live what is happening in those areas. In one respect, this works really well. When Margot looks in the mirror, there's a camera that shows us on the big screen her face, with all its middle-aged details that the theatre audience can't see. And there's a great moment when the reflection of her face ages before our eyes. What I didn't like so much was seeing close-ups of the people off stage. For me, the joy of theatre is the human scale. I saw no reason why these scenes shouldn't have been acted on stage, even if a bit to the side. Now, Ivo Van Hove gave me one of the best nights of pure theatre I've ever had in A View from the Bridge at the Young Vic. If he likes big screens so much, it's time he went to Hollywood. I like the performances, I like the story, but as theatre, I can only give All About Eve 3 stars. If you found this review useful or interesting, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, 1 Minute Theatre Reviews, by clicking on the icon at the bottom of the screen.